In the solitude of his home, Judas is bathed in the flickering glow of an oil lamp, his figure stark against the shadows. Before him, on the rough-hewn table, 30 pieces of silver shimmer with a cold, hard light. His face is a tormented landscape, worry and regret carving deep lines into his weary features. Each flicker of the lamp seems to amplify the turmoil within him, casting dancing shadows that mirror his inner demons. The weight of his actions presses down on him, suffocating him in a silence broken only by the crackling of the flame. His voice, barely a whisper, echoes in the empty room. What is the price of a human soul? Jerusalem's streets teem with a multitude, their faces upturned, reflecting a shared sense of anticipation. Jesus speaks, his voice a gentle beacon amidst the throng, each word carrying the weight of hope and unconditional love. His words wash over the crowd, each face alight with newfound understanding and peace. Behind the captivated crowd, a cluster of chief priests and elders observes from a distance, their expressions hardening. Animosity simmers beneath their stern gazes, their displeasure a stark contrast to the hope blossoming in the hearts of the crowd. Flickering shadows dance across the faces of the chief priests and elders, their expressions etched with grim intent. The council chamber is filled with hushed whispers as they gather, cloaked in secrecy. A clandestine plot takes shape in the dim light, each word heavy with consequence. Caiaphas's voice cuts through the murmurs, his words laced with urgency and resolve. We must silence him before he ignites a rebellion, he declares, sealing their dark pact. Judas enters the council chamber, his determined gaze immediately finding the chief priests. A heavy tension permeates the chamber, the air thick with unspoken agreements. A glint of silver catches the dim light as a bag of coins materializes, a silent promise of payment. Judas's voice cuts through the silence, a mercenary proposition hanging in the air. What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you? The chief priests exchange furtive glances, their expressions a mix of calculation and anticipation. The bag of silver sits heavily between them, a tangible symbol of the betrayal about to unfold. In the upper room, shadows dance as Jesus gathers with his disciples for the Last Supper, a palpable sorrow permeating the air. The scent of bread and wine fills the room, a solemn sacrament shared under the dim light. Jesus' voice cuts through the heavy silence, a somber prophecy hanging in the air. Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me. A wave of shock and disbelief washes over the faces of the disciples, each grappling with the weight of his words. A heavy silence descends upon the upper room, the air thick with unspoken dread and stifled sobs. The disciples huddled together, their faces etched with confusion and a dawning sorrow. Peter's voice cracks as he questions, his eyes searching for reassurance. Surely you don't mean me, Lord? Judas, cloaked in shadow, echoes the question with a hint of desperation. Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi? Jesus responds, his voice a calm amidst the storm. You have said so. Beneath the silent, ancient olive trees of Gethsemane, Jesus kneels, his figure cloaked in shadow and sorrow. Torment etches deep lines into his face, illuminated by the moon's ethereal glow. Sweat and blood mingle, glistening upon his brow like a crown of thorns as he struggles with destiny. His voice, heavy with anguish, rises into the night. Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. Under the silent watch of ancient olive trees, the Garden of Gethsemane slumbers in the darkness. Scattered across the cool earth, the disciples lie in deep, oblivious sleep. A figure emerges from the shadows, sorrow etched deeply into his face. Jesus approaches one of the sleeping men, his expression a mixture of love and grief. With gentle hands, he shakes the disciple awake, a plea in his touch. His voice, soft yet filled with anguish, cuts through the stillness. Could you men not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Torches flicker, casting long dancing shadows across the tranquil Garden of Gethsemane, signaling an impending storm. A crowd emerges from the darkness, their forms illuminated by the harsh light, their faces grim and determined. Judas leads the way, his expression a turbulent mix of guilt, fear, and resolve, a mask of betrayal. Swords glint ominously in the torchlight, a cold promise of violence shattering the garden's peace. Clubs are clutched tightly, symbols of brute force invading this sacred space. The serene garden stands in stark contrast to the approaching mob, a visual representation of innocence about to be defiled. In the tranquil Garden of Gethsemane, the heavy scent of olives hangs in the damp night air. Judas steps forward, his approach cutting through the garden's serenity. His voice, laced with false respect, breaks the silence. "Greetings, Rabbi." A tense moment hangs as Judas's intentions remain veiled. He leans in, the betrayal sealed with a kiss on Jesus's cheek. The act reverberates through the quiet garden, a stark contrast to the peaceful surroundings. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus looks upon Judas, his gaze heavy with sorrowful understanding. Unspoken emotions hang heavy in the air, thick with the weight of betrayal. Guards emerge from the shadows, their forms stark against the dim, moonlit garden. Jesus' voice cuts through the tense silence, a poignant acceptance in his tone. "Friend, do what you came for." The shadows lengthen, enveloping the scene as destiny unfolds under the watchful eyes of the ancient olive trees. In the Garden of Gethsemane, the disciples are consumed by terror and scatter like leaves in a storm. A surge of protective anger contorts Peter's face as he unsheathes his sword, the steel glinting under the dim moonlight. The blade flashes, a desperate arc of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Malchus, servant of the high priest, cries out in agony as his ear is severed, the bloody appendage falling to the earth. The air is thick with fear, the metallic tang of blood mingling with the scent of night-blooming flowers. Jesus' voice cuts through the chaos, a command of calm amidst the storm. "Put your sword back in its place." The council chamber buzzes with hushed tension, the faces of the chief priests etched with stern judgment. Amidst the brewing storm, Jesus stands defiant, an island of calm in a sea of condemnation. False witnesses unleash a torrent of accusations, their venomous words echoing through the hall. Caiaphas's voice cuts through the din, demanding, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of God?" Jesus' reply hangs in the air, a quiet confirmation. "You have said so." In the bustling Jerusalem streets, Judas witnesses Jesus' condemnation, his face etched with growing horror. A wave of remorse washes over Judas as the weight of his betrayal crushes him. Driven by guilt, Judas clutches the bag of silver, his hands trembling with desperation. He attempts to return the silver to the chief priests, his eyes pleading for absolution from his sin. The silver clatters to the ground, a stark symbol of his irreversible deed and impending doom. Judas bursts into the council chamber, his face a mask of anguish and torment. With a furious gesture, he hurls a bag of silver coins onto the cold stone floor. The coins scatter with a resounding clatter, their metallic sound echoing through the silent chamber as Judas cries, "I have sinned, for I have betrayed innocent blood." The priests respond coldly, their faces impassive. "What is that to us? That's your responsibility." Under the vast, indifferent sky, Judas hangs still from a gnarled, barren tree. His face, a mask of anguish, is frozen in a final, silent scream. The rope strains, a cruel testament to his despair. Below, the field stretches out, desolate and unforgiving. The wind whispers through the withered branches, a mournful dirge for a broken soul. The barren landscape mirrors the emptiness that consumed him, a final, haunting tableau.